We've been sold a massive lie. For the last decade, the internet has told you that to be successful, you have to suffer. You need to wake up at 4 a.m., take a freezing ice bath, and grind until your eyes bleed. If you aren't constantly exhausted, you're losing. But what if I told you that the secret to exponential growth isn't working harder? What if the feeling you've been fighting your entire life, that deep, heavy desire to just do less, is actually your greatest biological advantage? Today, we are going to completely rewire how you view productivity. We are going to stop fighting laziness and instead weaponize it. By the end of this video, you won't just feel better about taking a break, you'll have a systematic framework to use your inner laziness to achieve 10 times more than the guy burning himself out next to you.
Let's start with a quote from a guy who knows a thing or two about building empires. Bill Gates famously said, "I choose a lazy person to do a hard job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." Society frames laziness as a moral failing, but biologically it is an evolutionary instinct for resource preservation. Human beings are hardwired to conserve energy. When you look closely at history, the greatest leaps forward weren't driven by people who loved hard manual labor. They were driven by people who absolutely hated it. Think about it. The wheel, the aqueduct, the printing press, and modern cloud architecture, these weren't invented because humans wanted to work harder. They were engineered because someone got fed up with carrying water for miles or copying books by hand. They wanted a shortcut. Productive laziness is the foundation of all systems engineering. A grinder will spend 5 hours doing a repetitive manual task every single day. A productively lazy person will spend 5 hours writing a script or building a system to automate that task so they never have to do it again. Consider the famous story of a toothpaste factory that had a problem with occasionally shipping empty boxes. The executive spent millions of dollars engineering a complex, laser-guided X-ray system to detect the empty boxes and halt the assembly line. It required constant monitoring and massive effort to maintain. But a few weeks later, the system reported 0 errors. When they checked the line to see why, they found that a factory worker, tired of having to walk over and manually restart the heavy machinery every time it stopped, had simply placed a $20 desk fan next to the conveyor belt. The full boxes passed by and the empty ones were effortlessly blown away. The executives engineered a complicated grind. The lazy worker engineered a frictionless solution. To use laziness effectively, you have to master the art of subtraction. Most people confuse activity with accomplishment. They fill their to-do list with busy work because it makes them feel productive. The Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto discovered that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. The productively lazy person is obsessed with this metric. They look at their day, identify the 80% of tasks that yield almost 0 return, and they aggressively eliminate, delegate, or automate them. Productivity isn't about how many things you can cram into a 12-hour day. It's about figuring out the 1 or 2 high-leverage tasks that actually move the needle, executing them brilliantly, and then having the audacity to walk away. As author Greg McKeown writes in his book Essentialism, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. The lazy genius doesn't manage time. They manage energy. They protect their mental bandwidth for the decisions that actually matter. Now, let's talk about the most controversial part of this framework: procrastination. We all do it, but there is a massive difference between destructive procrastination, scrolling TikTok for 4 hours to escape anxiety, and strategic procrastination. When you hit a wall on a complex problem, your instinct is to push harder, to sit at the desk until you figure it out. But neuroscience tells us that this is the worst thing you can do. When you force focus, you are only using the prefrontal cortex. But when you step away, go for a walk, or take a shower, when you allow yourself to be lazy, your brain switches to what neuroscientists call the default mode network. This is your brain's background processor. It connects disparate ideas, runs simulations, and solves complex logic puzzles while you are consciously thinking about absolutely nothing.
This is why your best ideas come to you in the shower. It's why historical figures like Albert Einstein were notorious for taking long, seemingly pointless walks in the middle of the workday. They were using strategic laziness to let their subconscious do the heavy lifting. So how do you actually implement this tomorrow? Here is your 3-step framework for weaponizing laziness. Step 1. Audit the friction. Look at your daily routine. What repetitive tasks are draining your energy? Stop forcing yourself to push through them. Find a tool, a software, or a system to eliminate them. Be relentlessly efficient so you can be purposefully lazy. Step 2. Isolate the 20%. Before you start your day, identify the single most important task that will actually drive growth. Do that first with intense focus. Once it's done, give yourself permission to coast on the rest.
Step 3. Schedule the void. Stop filling every minute of your calendar. Schedule block time for absolutely nothing. Give your default mode network the space it needs to generate the insights that will change your life. Hustling blindly is easy. It's a coping mechanism for a lack of strategy. It takes genuine intelligence to look at a complex world, identify the absolute simplest path to victory, and have the confidence to take it. Stop feeling guilty for wanting leverage. Stop fighting your laziness.
Use it to build a life that doesn't require you to grind 24/7. If this reframed the way you think about work, hit the like button and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Now go take a break. You've earned it.